Hello, jury. This is the time for the verdict. You will have to now decide: is Johnny Depp innocent and the victim of abuse? Do press the like button. If you think that Amber Heard is the one that is the innocent one, that is the one that is the victim of domestic abuse, press the dislike button. Hello everyone, this is Defense Politics Asia, and this is the summary for the day of 100 and 101 for 3rd and 4th June. So I haven't been able to post anything in the past, maybe 48 hours or so, because my universe is attacked by COVID, and I also was having a fever for like the past maybe 24 hours or something. So I only managed to just have the right condition to even do recording. So before that I was like really very sick. I was having fever, so I wasn't able to even do recording. I was able to update the maps when I was able to, but recording was a bit difficult. So anyway, so now that I'm feeling slightly better, now we can do the summary now. So let's go straight to cross-border shelling. So there is a lot of cross-border shelling being reported from the Ukrainian side. At Mykhalchina, Kayamska Sloboda, Katerinivka, Starikov, and on top of and also at Steskivka. So this is the one at Steskivka is actually done by airstrikes. So it's actually by airstrike on the Steskivka, and the target is actually the training center for the artillery, particularly for the M777 155 howitzer, and or you can call it the Gundam, if you saw my meme. So this is quite significant. That I think it will actually kind of demoralize some of this the Ukrainian trainees, and also foreign trainers are actually training over here. So not sure if any foreigners, non-Ukrainians, got killed in this strike. So this airstrike also is not just on Steskivka, but also they also hit at Pischanoe or Pischan. So not sure what is the target around here that they were hitting, but they were hitting something. And there's also shelling reported in Krasnopilia. So over 2 days we have like quite a number of shelling all across the entire border area of Sumy and Russia. And according to the Ukrainian statement, so what they say is that the Russians are trying to maintain its unit at Bryansk and Kursk region. So this is Kursk, this is Bryansk. So they say that the Russians continue to few troops in this area to prevent the transfer of Ukrainian troops to other area of hostility. And they also conduct reconnaissance and fire measures to detect and destroy the air defense of the defense forces of Ukraine. So why take out all the air defense? Yeah, we have to speculate about that. So there was also an airstrike reported at Khudov. So this was done in the middle of the night. So they say spies spotted jet plane noises. I don't think you can spot noises, you can only hear, right? So anyway, they say 6 rocket launches towards the village of Khudov. On the other hand, there is a shelling reported by the Russian side, pro-Russian side, on Slushev in the Bryansk region. So this is by the Ukrainian, but it is very one-sided. And there's another one at here, Severodonetsk Buda. So I should push out a bit, cannot see. So anyway, this is a cross-border shellings. So you can read it whatever you want. We will continue to monitor it and see whether there is any significant escalation in terms of these shellings. Going all the way down to the Odessa Front. At the Odessa Front, there is this Ukrainian military transport plane that got shot down over Odessa. So this is quite significant because it's a big plane, and it transports armament and ammunition. So it got shot down over Odessa. There is also a missile strike on the foreign mercenary base in Dashne. So they say this is a permanent base for foreign mercenary at near Dashnoye in Odessa region. So the Russians are still continuing to try to deliberately take out all the foreign fighter bases. In the southern front, remember I mentioned, I suspect that there may not be any more Bayraktar TB2s. I kind of like cursed it. So immediately 2 Bayraktar TB2s got shot down over Kayamka. So this is in the Mykolaiv region. So around here they got shot down. And typically they operate around here when they actually look towards Kherson. So they fly around here, and around 40 to 80 kilometers they are able to see this region, and they try to monitor, and they can even fire from the western bank here. They can actually fire a missile towards any targets. So accidentally cursed it. So I thought they'd have no more. So they got 2 shot down just to let us know. Nice Ukrainian people. Sodatske has been confirmed to be under Russian control because the Ministry of Defense of Ukraine mentioned there is airstrike on Sodatski. So that actually brings this location to be under the Russian control. So this brings us even another town closer to Posad-Porovsky. They are only just very near to each other, only 2-3 kilometers, 4 kilometers at max. So this is interesting. So grateful that they told us so that we can improve this front line mapping. And in this same one, they say that the Ukrainian army aircraft actually strike on Davidov Brod, which is Davydiv Breed, which means that they actually confirmed that Davydiv Breed is actually under Russian control. This is a corroboration of what we have already reported. So we are now 100% sure that Davydiv Breed is actually under Russian control. In the area of Luzov, so it's not at Luzov, but in the area of Luzov, the Russians tried to get into a combat clash. So kind of a weird way to put it. So they tried to get into a fight, and then they got fired upon, which is exactly what they were looking for, and then they retreated to their starting position. So very vague way of writing. So there is some fighting reported around here. So the Ukrainian Ministry of Defense also reported that Sukhoi 25 attack, 2 Sukhoi 25 Ukrainian Sukhoi 25 attack enemy clusters near Ivanivka, which means that there is Russian troops either at Ivanivka or near Ivanivka. So not sure what is this supposed to mean. They say near, so I wonder how near is near, but that at least tell us that there is Russian troops around this area. So that's all for the southern front. There is no updates in terms of Zaporizhzhia Line. In terms of Donetsk Front, let me check. I think I don't have much to report. Yeah, I don't think there's anything to report. Yeah, all these things I have already all reported previously. There is also no changes into this bear pig that is having his 2 hands trying to hug Bakhmut. There is no updates in terms of this location, except that there is this very weird information that they say that the Russian forces is advancing on Razdolivka. So Razdolivka is here, but there is no indication that they have already captured Yakovlivka or Bilohorivka. So why would they be advancing on this location? Maybe we are missing some intel or some information that we are not aware of. So this is a question mark. It's not very indicative. Otherwise, there is a stalemate in terms of all these locations. If you do not know already, the Russian forces south of at Komishubaka is actually attacking into the rear of Zolote. I don't have any information on this though. Fighting continues at Mena, Dolina, Ustinivka as well as Brubrov. No changes up there. So fighting continues at Borovsky. So this one is quite firm now. This is under Ukrainian control. Then we come to this Severodonetsk area. So this is a kind of a confusing location because there is actually a contradicting narrative from both sides. In fact, it's almost like a parallel universe where the two stories totally is opposite of each other. So according to the Russian Ministry of Defense, they claim that the Ukrainians have suffered critical losses. Up to 90% of some of their units were destroyed, and as such, they were redrawing to Lysychansk. And in order to actually slow down the Russian troops, they claim that the Ukrainian forces blew up the salt, petri, and nitric acid tank up to 100 tons, and they create this chemical contamination zone in this industrial area to slow down the advance of the Russian forces. However, on the pro-Ukrainian side, so this is not the Ukraine Defense Ministry, but pro-Ukrainian reporters or analysts or journalists or OSIN, they say that the Russians were lured into a trap in Severodonetsk, and then the Ukrainian counterattack, and they actually took back Mitokine, and then they say that they also took back half of Severodonetsk. So that's a very, very huge claim. Because to take back Mitokine, this is a huge 4-kilometer wide town. And given that this is actually the immediate front line, the priority for the Russian forces, there would be a tremendous amount of presence, Russian troop presence within this area. So to be able to push and take the entire of Mitokine seems outrageous, unless you're talking about the Ukrainians are able to mass even more troops than what the Russians have in the offensive posture. So that's a very huge claim. So, but yet at the same time, the Ministry of Defense of Ukraine actually contradicts the pro-Ukrainian crowd, because while the pro-Ukrainian crowd say that the Ukrainian forces took back Mitokine, the Ukraine Defense Ministry actually say that Mitokine is under Ukrainian control. That they say that the Russians tried to attack Mitokine and actually suffered losses and withdrew. So even the pro-Ukrainian crowd contradicts the Ukraine Defense Ministry narrative. And then the Russians, of course, have their own narrative as well. So according to Ryba, which is the top Russian pro-Russian analyst of this war, they claim that the story was that the individual units of the Ukraine armed forces were withdrawing in small groups into Lysychansk, and then reinforcement from foreign mercenaries and nationalists, which are maybe the Azov Battalion, the extremist groups, are being transferred to Severodonetsk itself. And then this new group of people actually led the counterattack towards the direction, so not Mitokine, but then in the direction of Mitokine from the industrial area. So they actually pushing through from the industrial area here, push through. And the purpose of this offensive is to relieve Boryske from being encircled, which is kind of weird. I'm not sure how they're going to be encircled in this way. And this is a bit far. So anyway, this is the story. And however, this advance only managed to push the Russian forces from the western outskirts of Siritone and Lisna Dacha. So only the western side of these towns were actually taken by this counter-offensive. They never managed to reach Mitokine, according to this pro-Russian source. And this offense actually caused the Ukrainian forces to suffer significant losses, and the entire counteroffensive had stalled. So there's actually four different stories. So you have the pro-Russian analyst story, you have the Russian MOD story, you have the Ukraine MOD story, and then you have the pro-Ukrainian crowd story. So I tell you all the stories. As far as DPA's position goes, there's no change in terms of this front line. So I do not see Sirotine and Lisna Dacha as under Russian control. So the capture of the western edge or western outskirts of these towns don't really reflect any of the DPA's position in terms of this situation here. So everything remains as is. I still believe the line is still here along this entire residential and industrial areas border here. Litokhan continues, I believe, to be under Russian control. I don't think there's any changes in terms of this situation here. The only problem now is Voronov under Russian or under the Ukrainian control? This is a question mark, but tentatively I view it as under Russian control. So that's all for Severodonetsk. To the Izyum Front. The Izyum Front, the Russian forces have captured Sosnov, which is actually the Severodonetsk railway station. So if you actually zoom in, you can see that is Severodonetsk. This is actually their railway station for this city here. So this is their railway station, quite far away. For this railway station, they have their own village called Sosnov, and the Russian forces have captured this position, and fighting is now within Severodonetsk. There is, however, according to the Russian Defense Ministry, they say that the Ukrainian forces have already retreated to Sidorov, because after they have burned down the church, the wooden church here at Severodonetsk. So, but not sure if this is true, because if this is true, then fighting should be over at Severodonetsk. But fighting continues to rage over there. The Russians also didn't manage to take Bohorodashne yet. Bohorodashne is still being fought over, and fighting is still continue at Dolina. This dispute of Yarova and Studenok is likely to be inaccurate. I don't think it's accurate, and I'll probably delete it in the next summary. So because if you without Yarova, you can't really fight at Severodonetsk, and Studenok is way too back in the rear, since Russian forces have already been fighting around at this front here. Moving on to Kharkiv Front. At the Kharkiv Front is yet another parallel universe, where the Russian narrative and the Ukrainian narrative is a contradiction, entirely contradicting to each other. So according to the Russian crowd, they say that Peremoha is they're actually fighting for Shetakov and Fedorivka, and I assess that they will probably already captured Peremoha. And this is corroborated by the latest information that they are fighting that means the armed forces is conducting a counterattack on Stary Saltiv, which is here. Which means that if this is true, then Peremoha, the capture of Peremoha, and also the fighting here might all be true. So this is the Russian version of the story. But in terms of the Ukrainian version of the story, they actually, in terms of the Ministry of Defense of Ukraine, they actually reported shelling of their units in this Hlyboke, which is a Glibokoi. They report their forces is being shelled over there, and they also say that their forces is being shelled at Dementivka. However, these two locations are written to be listed as Russian controlled under our mapping. So this comes as a surprise, because the Russians previously take Lipsy. Somehow the Ukrainians now is that Hlyboke. And then we also have this information of Ukrainian forces fighting for Veliki Prokoti as well as Supivka. This is by pro-Ukrainian sources. So then how, then this information seems to be very weird. So they are here, and then they are attacking here. So maybe it's true, maybe it's true. So Ukrainians are making a massive offensive here, but then the pro-Ukrainian sources also say that these are all under Ukrainian control. This does not exist. This offensive is not true. So again, you can decide what is true. I actually don't know. I'll just report as is. I will report both sides of the narrative, and then we shall see what thing corroborates later. On the eastern bank of Severodonetsk River, latest information from pro-Russian sources is that the entire road from Primorske over here, all the way this entire road is actually undefended. So the Ukrainians actually managed, after the crossing, to actually drive down and take Peshatravny, Martov, and Primorske. And with the capture of Primorske means that they no longer need to actually cross the river. They can actually go straight from Peshinihi, and they can just drive along this dam and go straight all the way to the other side of this river. There's also information from the pro-Russian sources that previously the Ukrainian forces was even able to drive all the way to Voskchansk, because how undefended this side of the river is. And this might be true. So the Ukrainians probably are now massing their forces on this side to do an offensive, and probably also to keep up with the supply line, because the supply line is a bit long to come to here. So they are actually probably trying to gather their forces first, get their supply line sorted out before they go for Vovchansk perhaps, or they can actually go for Biliki Bulok. So this actually answers my query, you see, because the crossing was some time ago, probably at least a week or more, at Zareshny and Komtimlia, and we didn't have any real updates from this location for a long time. And I was wondering what were they doing, and now we actually have an answer. They actually controlled the entire road, and probably they are now setting up for operating bases, supply chain, supply lines, and to support the operations over at the eastern side of this river here. So this is the update for the day of 100 and 101 for 3rd and 4th June. So hope you guys take a pinch of salt about everything I have said, and sorry for my voice. I'm still having a itchy throat, so very tempted to cough. So I'll see you in the next update.